Hello students, welcome to the class. My name is Shubham Saumya. I am working as an assistant teacher in Composite School Chiutana, Block Semariyawan, District Sant Kabir, Nagar. Our today's topic is microorganisms. This is the topic of Class 8, Unit 5, that is General Introduction and Classification of Microorganisms. In this class, we discuss about general introduction of microorganisms, its habitat, and examples of some classes of microorganisms. Students, before starting the class, we discuss about learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are all the skills you acquire after doing the class, that is learning outcomes. So here, the list of learning outcomes of today's class. Students, after doing the class, you can make the list of some organisms that can be seen by your naked eye. You can tell definition of microorganisms, that is microbes, with examples. You can tell the use of microscope. You can tell about the father of microbiology. And students, after doing the class, you will be able to differentiate between macro and microorganisms. And students, after doing the class, you will also be able to tell the occurrence of microorganisms and tell the definition of saprophyte and parasite. So, let's start the class. Students, we can see many plants and animals around us, like you can see mango tree and tamarind tree on the slide. As well as we can see many organisms that can be seen by your naked eye, like you can see fish, turtle, housefly, goat, frog and ant. Here students, I am using the term naked eye, which is also called as unaided eye or bare eye. It means when we see any object without the help of any instrument or device, then we can call that we are looking at that object with our naked eye. So, moving to the next slide. Here you can see a bare hand. Students, have you ever looked at your hand carefully? Did you see any creature on it? Definitely, your answer is no. But students, you will be very surprised to know that there are a lot of microorganisms on your hand that cannot be seen by your naked eye. So here, a question arises, how do we see them? Students, we can see them with the help of a device named microscope. You can see picture of microscope on the slide. It is a laboratory instrument used to examine objects that are too small to be seen by your naked eye. Students, the word microscope is derived from a new Latin word, microscopium. And the word microscopium is a combination of two ancient Greek words. The first one is micros, means small, and the second one is scopio, means to look at. So students, now our definition of microorganisms is ready. Microorganisms or microbes are minute organisms that are invisible to naked eyes. These can be unicellular or multicellular. Here students, I am using two terms, unicellular and multicellular. Here unicellular means when any organism is composed of a single cell, then we can call it unicellular. And when an organism composed of multiple cells, then we can call it multicellular. So students, here is a question for you. You can see a rotten bread on the slide and you can see some black and greenish spots on the surface of the bread. Do you know what are these black and greyish spots? Students, it is also caused by a microorganisms named Rhizopus stolonifer, which is a fungus and commonly called as black bread mold. Now students, we are very familiar to the term microorganisms. So moving to the next slide. Here you can see some examples of different classes of microorganisms. The first one is bacteria, and the example of bacteria is spirulina, belongs to cyanobacteria. Spirulina is a source of single cell protein because it is rich source of protein and other nutrients which you will study in higher classes. The second class is fungi, which is plural of term fungus, which you have seen in previous slide. The example of fungi is Penicillium chrysogenum. It is commonly occurring mold in indoor environment such as dust, indoor air and damp buildings, as well as in decaying foods. The third class is algae, and the example of algae is Chlorella vulgaris. It is also protein rich and used as dietary supplement. Students, fourth one is virus, and you are very familiar with the term virus, as well as the term COVID-19 virus and smallpox virus. So students, the last class is protozoa, and the examples of protozoa are Entamoeba histolytica and Plasmodium vivax. Entamoeba histolytica is an entoparasite and cause infection in our intestine which cause amoebic dysentery. Plasmodium vivax is a protozoan. It is most frequent and widely distributed cause of malaria. So now students, moving to the next slide. Here you can see a picture of a scientist named Antonie van Leeuwenhoek. He is a Dutch microbiologist, and using single-lensed microscope of his own design and make, he was the first to observe and to experiment with microbes. That's why we can call him father of microbiology. Here students, microbiology is the study of the biology of microscopic organisms or microorganisms. So students, now moving to the next slide. So now we are very familiar to the term microorganisms. So let's discuss about the occurrence of microorganisms. Microorganisms found in air, in water and in soil, as well as inside and outside of the body of plants and animals. You can see a picture of bacteria inside our intestine. Students, they are also found in extremely adverse environment and unfavorable situations like ice, bottom of sea, marshy places, and spring of hot water. Students, some microorganisms live on dead and decaying matter called saprophyte, like Rhizopus. Rhizopus found in moist and damp places like fruits, bread, jellies, etc. It consumes dead and decaying materials. That's why it is a saprophyte. And some organisms that lives on or in the host organism and get its food from that organisms are called parasite. Students, the example of parasite is Entamoeba histolytica. It is found as parasite in intestine of human and cause amoebic dysentery. So students, we can say that microorganisms are found everywhere. So students, our part 1 completes. Let's see what we learned. Students, we have seen a list of organisms that can be seen by our naked eye. Definition of microorganisms, microscope, examples of microorganisms, father of microbiology, occurrence of microorganisms, and definition and example of saprophyte and parasites. So, stay tuned for the next class. Thank you.